Well, throughout the Republican National Convention, that is just, as I said, a little over a week away, the party will share its vision for promoting liberty, increasing prosperity, protecting national security, and preserving American values. We've heard this slogan, making America great again. But for the United States to be great again, we must first be good morally. We must have a moral foundation. So this platform must address issues like the sanctity of human life, to defend the most vulnerable, the family, religious freedom, those things that are fundamental to a strong and prosperous nation. Joining me now to discuss this and much more is U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham from the state of South Carolina. He serves on 4 Senate committees, including the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he is the ranking member, and the Senate Appropriations Committee. And he joins us by phone. Senator Graham, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to have you on the program.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad you're on the platform committee. That makes me sleep better.
Well, it's going to be a lot of work, but you understand the importance of policy. All right? You've been in the Senate for, actually, as long as I've been here at the Family Research Council, so for over 20 years. You've been in the United States Senate.
You're aging better than I am, but yes.
Well, we're both running at a pretty high rate of speed. So let's talk about the importance of setting policy priorities for the parties. Does it really matter?
Oh, gosh, yes. Good Lord, yes. Yeah, let me tell you why. It's foundational. Platform is a foundation, right? It's a foundation from which you try to govern the country. You try to say, here's who I am as a Republican. Let's talk about the life issue.
Right.
For over 40 years, we have stated as a platform, as a doctrine of faith, that an unborn child is a member of the human family and deserving protection under the 14th Amendment. It's called the Human Life Amendment. I believe that Democrats basically would allow abortion up to the moment of birth. They think the unborn child is a glob of cells. We believe it to be a member of the human family. That is foundational to who we are. And let me just say this. There are a lot of very rich Republican donors who I appreciate their support, who are not pro-life, who believe that social issues cost us elections. Marco Rubio ran in Florida and won big in 2022, embracing being pro-life. Governor Kemp knocked it out of the park. Every governor who ran on a pro-life agenda in 2022, they tried to demagogue the abortion issue, and they won.
Right. There were actually 11 of them that ran in that cycle. I mean, you had Governor DeWine in Ohio who signed a heartbeat bill, and he ran and won handedly. You had Governor DeSantis, same thing. So you're absolutely right.
So the narrative that being pro-life hurts you politically is a false narrative perpetrated by the liberal media, who wants us to be ashamed or afraid of embracing pro-life policies or Second Amendment policies. If you listen to the chattering class, the gun issue and the life issue hurts us. It does not. Right. I'm a gun owner. I am glad that we're the party of the Second Amendment. A lot of people in big cities don't own guns. That's their right not to do it. But I come from South Carolina. I own an AR-15. I served in the military for 30 years. It has the seal of my reserve unit on it. I'm a responsible gun owner. We're going to be with gun owners. And if we're not with gun owners and people who, sporting people and people who like the Second Amendment, we're going to be in a world hurt. If we don't stick with the pro-life community, we're going to be a world of hurt. Let me tell you why. People give me money, and I appreciate it. I raised $112 million in my last race, the highest in the history of the Senate, except my opponent, who raised $132 million. We had money from all over the country, $5 and $10, a bunch of money coming in. You know what got me elected by over 10 points? It's people who knocked on doors and made phone calls on my behalf. The people who believe in the sanctity of life, that want to protect the Second Amendment, the activists. All the people who write these checks are not going to make one phone call, and they're going to knock on one door. Do not be ashamed of being pro-life. It is a responsible position to take. It is a position the American people will understand if you advocate it right. If you look scared and you act scared, you will lose no matter what the issue is. So be not afraid.
I mean,
not afraid to be pro-life.
You're right. The 2022 is a perfect example of this, is when we are confident in who we are and we can defend the positions we have and we expose the weakness in the policy positions of the others, we win. And the problem that I've seen on this life issue post-Roe is that it's like some Republicans all of a sudden forgot why they were pro-life, and the Democrats are the ones who have the extreme positions. And when that is exposed, abortion up until the moment of birth at taxpayers' expense, the American people get it.
Well, Tony, they not only get it, but the Democratic Party is hell-bent on nationalizing the abortion issue,
Yes.
shutting down every pro-life law in every state, federalizing abortion rights so that you can have an abortion. Literally, late-term abortions will be legal. There'll be no limits. All the exceptions consume the rule. They want to create a national law allowing abortion on demand in all 50 states up to the moment of birth.
Right.
We're unsure of who we are. Well, I'm not unsure of who I am. I believe the state should have the ability to regulate the life issue up to a point. And when the baby develops to the 15-week point, which you and I have talked about, where you can feel pain, where the baby is given anesthesia to save its life in operation, then we should stop abortion on demand, no matter if it's in California or New York, because it's about the child. If the pro-life movement is not about the unborn child, we have missed the mark.
It doesn't matter what zip code the baby is conceived in or state it's born into. It's a human being.
Amen.
And it needs to be protected. But I want to go back to this point you just made, because I think a lot of people are missing this, because there are a number of Republicans, and there's a push to have the party platform reflect this, that this is strictly a state's issue. That is a unilateral decision. The Democrats aren't making that decision. The Democrats want to nationalize this. They want to, as
100%.
you just said, they've introduced legislation to do this, and that is to eradicate every pro-life law, including parental notification, including the support for care pregnancy centers and for the ultrasound requirements. All of this would be eliminated under what the Democrats want to do. So just so people are clear on this, it is only one party and an element of one party talking about this being strictly a state issue. That is not what Democrats are saying.
Yeah, Democrats are saying they want to not only, they're not codifying Roe that said up till viability, nor you can have abortion on demand up to viability. They go well beyond that. The law they introduced, we voted on, it goes well beyond what the Roe standard was. What are we trying to do? We're trying to take it from the courts to elected officials. That's the first thing about Dobbs.
Exactly.
The court ruled there's nothing in the Constitution giving a right to an abortion. That came from judicial manufactured law called the right of privacy. There's not one word in the U.S. Constitution about an right to an abortion. It was a judge-made manufactured right. So the Supreme Court in Dobbs said, wait a minute, there's nothing here about abortion. It should be decided not by 9 members of the court, but by elected officials at the state and federal level. I support President Trump. I want him to win. I'm going to help him do everything I can. He believes it's a states' rights issue. He talks about the downside, the badness of late-term abortions. What I think we should be doing is saying, yes, it is a state issue, but it's also about the child itself.
Right.
So what I want to do is not change our platform. If we change our platform and we buy into the narrative, being pro-life is bad politics, being strong for the Second Amendment is bad politics, we're going to be net losers, because the people who believe like we do are going to abandon us because we've abandoned what makes us different.
So, final question for you, Senator Lindsey Graham. Changing the party platform is changing the party, is it not?
Well, platform is a foundation, right? Presidential candidates come and go. We have decided back in the 80s that we would be for the unborn child being a member of the human family. That, to me, is a sound position to take. To change that is not going to get you any votes from a pro-choice person.
Correct.
It's going to turn off people who are with us because we see the world the way they do.
It dampens what was called the intensity factor. the motivation that people have to work in an election cycle. Doesn't mean they're going to vote for Joe Biden or someone else. It just means they're not going to work as hard. And we need everybody, as you know, in elections that are close, everybody has to be working.
The people that got me to where I'm at are the ones who knocked on doors and made phone. I appreciate the donations, but listen, it's a party platform. There's no reason to change it. Let's stick with what got us here.
All right, Senator Lindsey Graham, always great to get your input. Take care, my friend. See you soon.